Reality has two aspects. One is temporary reality or relative reality, and the other is absolute reality. And we are quite confused about it. The relative reality or the temporary reality is the reality of the physical world. It's the reality concerning our body, our mind, the nature outside. And the absolute reality is where there is only pure consciousness, where there is total aloneness, where there is no other. So those who have come to know themselves, they become individual for the first time. They live in a state of absolute aloneness. Aloneness means all has become one. There is no division, there is no two. But in the world of relativity, in the world of physical reality, we are part of an organic whole. You cannot develop society, you cannot grow if you remain like an island. You have to come together, you have to merge, you have to function as an organic whole, you have to function as parts of body. Each part is as essential as the other. So there you cannot remain indifferent. And this is the problem with the Hindus. They live in the world of callous indifference. They are so self-centered, they are so selfish that for them it matters not what happens to their neighbor, as long as they are prosperous, as they are rich and successful. They are totally unconcerned about their neighbor. In fact, they would like their neighbor to be in suffering, in sadness, in misery, in poverty, because it is all comparative. If you have more money than the other, that makes you happy. If you are more successful than others, that makes you happy. This mad disease of ambition has made us all sick. So it is really startling that when the Kashmiri Hindus were driven out of Kashmir, the whole India was sleeping. You cannot just blame the politicians. Politicians are just mirror. They reflect you. And mostly only those people are interested in politics who are the lowest of the low, who are just there to have more and more power, more and more for the fulfillment of their greed. They are not at all concerned about people. They may be acting, but their reality is just their own power. So they can do anything to gain power. And when we have chosen some people as our masters, then we are responsible. What happened to the Kashmiri Hindus? At that time, the whole nation was sleeping. There was no protest at all. No one was concerned. They thought that it is the matter concerning Kashmiri Pandits and few other people. Why should we be worried about them? And that remains the attitude even now. Where there is lack of vision, people perish. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. If you are not concerned about what happens to your neighbor, if the house of your neighbor is burning, it is on fire, it won't take much time, it will reach to you also. We should learn lesson from what happened to Kashmiri and what has happened to Bengali Hindus in West Bengal. It is still happening there. But when our own selfish motive is most important, then we are not worried. We are not concerned. Circumstantial evidence prove that what happened in Kashmir, what happened to the Hindus of Kashmir, the genocide that happened there, it was a kind of fixed match between the National Conference and the National Congress. They wanted to please Pakistan and they wanted to please their vote bank of Muslims. But this is a very dangerous game. And seeing what the Congress have done in these 70 years, it is very clear that their motive was just to remain in power. They had no concern about the people. Their concern was only their own power. So they were using human being as guinea pig, and they were using their vote bank also only for the power. They have no interest in them also. But we have to find out the roots. What is the root? Who are the people most responsible? The man whom we consider as the father of the nation. As long as the people are not able to understand him, these kind of things will go on happening. And our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, is also equally responsible for this. If you observe Gandhi, whatever he has done in his whole life, mostly these things were totally absurd, and they were from the very beginning trying to appease the Muslims. His acts proves that he was totally against the Hindus. He was so cruel to the Hindus that it mattered not for him whether thousands of them were killed or raped. His only concern was that he should be considered as Mahatma. And everything proves that he was an agent of the Britishers, an agent of the Islamists, an agent of the Christians. He was using human being as toys to play his game.